the Grouchy Nerd. Alright, you antisocial weirdos, let's learn a game that plays at the ideal player count. 1. Baseball Highlights 2045, designed by Mike Fitzgerald and published by Eagle Gryphon Games, is not strictly a solo game, but it does have solo rules and I like it, and it's my channel, so... Your goal in Baseball Highlights is to win the best of 7 games of the World Series of Baseball in the not-too-distant year of 2045. Where cyborgs have taken over pitching duties for most teams and only robots have fast enough reflexes to hit against cyborgs. The few remaining human players superior at defense, for some reason, are known as naturals. Get it? Naturals? Like The Natural? The movie The Natural. Robert Redford, what's wrong with you? Baseball has also been shortened to a brief 6-inning affair because apparently attention spans in the future are even worse than those in the present, which is frankly hard to... What? After each mini-game, you'll acquire newer and better players from the free trade market and send has-beens and never-will-be's back to the minors, always maintaining an active roster of just 15 cards, making Baseball Highlights 2045 a deck-building, hand-management, sci-fi, sports-themed card game. Ugh. Like the world needed another one of those. Take a player stadium mat for yourself and one for your AI opponent, placing them side by side. Place the home and visitor pennant markers. In the solo mode, you always play as the visitor and the AI is always the home team. Set runs scored and games won tokens for you and the AI as well. Gather the white, blue, and red pawns and place them nearby. Pick a starting team. If you're a baseball nerd, this might be difficult because the included teams are rough. Luckily, other teams are available on the Eagle Gryphon website. Also, teams is kind of a stretch. They clearly didn't get the rights to the MLB teams, so it's just the names of cities where baseball is played. But I mean, if I can play as St. Louis, I'm gonna play as St. Louis, and absolutely no power on this earth will make me play as Chicago. Shuffle the free agent deck and deal 15 cards face down in the AI's lineup space, then draw the top 6 to create the buy row. The AI deck will get shuffled when necessary, but will not change for the remainder of the game. Alright, so let's take a closer look at a player card. The pennant shows their name and the city you acquired them from, which has absolutely no effect on the game whatsoever. The red diamond is the cost of the card as acquired from the free trade row, and the green circle shows how much revenue that player brings in when they play, which you'll spend on cards in the free trade row at the end of each minigame. The banner in the middle tells you what type of player you've got, cyborg, robot, or natural. Some card effects target specific player types. The big box in the middle is the immediate action box, actions that will happen when you play that card. In the base game, there will be a red defensive action or a green offensive action, or this area will be blank. Right below that is the hit box. Now, I'm going to assume you have a basic understanding of baseball, or at least the ability to use context clues to understand what single, double, triple, and home runs are. If listed, each one represents a potential hit and the number of bases that hit would be worth, though these hits are not guaranteed. Along the bottom, there's a symbol for whether this card can be traded for a pinch hitter. In the corner is a white, blue, or red foot. This tells you the speed of the player should it reach base. A white or slow base runner will gain as many bases as are hit by a batter. So if a slow runner is on second and a batter gets a single, the slow runner will advance 1 base to third. If the hit is a double, the slow runner will advance 2 bases to home and score. A blue or average base runner also gains as many bases as are hit by a hitter, with one exception. An average runner on second base will run home on a single. That's it. That's the only difference between slow and average runners. A red or fast runner advances 1 more base than the bases hit, so a fast runner on first will go to third on a single or home on a double. However, runners cannot pass each other, meaning that a fast runner behind a slow runner can only go as fast as the slow runner. Something to keep in mind when deciding the order you're going to play your cards. Now you may perform as many buy rounds as you wish, depending on the level of difficulty you'd like your game to be. For a very difficult game, skip this step. For a very easy game, do it 3 or even 4 times. The more buy rounds you have before you start, the easier the games are going to be. I usually do 2. For whatever that's worth. To perform a buy round, deal yourself 6 cards. Normally, these would be the 6 cards you just played in the last minigame, but for the sake of setup, just deal them out and count the total revenue number. Again, this is the number in the green circles. You may buy as many cards from the buy row as you can afford, placing newly acquired cards face down on top of your lineup. Replace cards in the buy row immediately. However many cards you acquired, you must now send that many back down to the minors by placing them back in the box. Choose from any of the cards you just used. Remember that you can only have an active roster of 15 cards cards at any time. As with basically every card game ever, when a deck runs out, shuffle the discard pile and make it a deck again. When you've performed your chosen number of buy rounds, shuffle your cards and place them face down in the line-up space on your player mat. Draw the top 6 cards into your hand. You can either play the AI cards straight from the top of the deck, or what I like to do is draw the top 6 and place them face down in a line and play them left to right throughout the course of the minigame. Before starting, you may choose to place one card face down under your mat in the on-deck circle, which you can play either as a pinch hitter or as a last-ditch defensive move called the visitor save. If you place a card this way, draw another card to get back to 6 in hand. At any time, you may discard a card with the pinch hitter symbol to the dugout to play the card in the on-deck circle. Each turn plays thusly. Starting with the visiting team, that's you, the active player plays a card to their in-play box. Resolve any immediate actions in the action box. If this box is blank or if the conditions are not met, nothing happens here. The only thing that can happen on the first play is the leadoff action. If you don't have the leadoff action, just play a blank one. Resolve the opponent's threatened hits. That'll make sense in a minute. Right now, nothing happens. Place your own threatened hits as indicated on the hitbox of the card you played. 1 pawn per hit in the color of that card's base runners. Now play the top card of the AI's deck. Resolve any immediate actions. If the AI cancels a hit and you're threatening multiple hits, they cancel the better of your hits. If they pick off a base runner, it's the farthest advanced base runner. So if you're threatening a single and a triple and the AI cancels one of those hits, they're going to cancel the triple. If you have runners on first and third and they pick one of them off, they're going to pick off the guy on third. Basically, if you have to choose something that the AI is going to do the one that's worse for you. Resolve any threatened hits you have remaining. Hits resolve from left to right in all the ways that make sense. A single gets the pawn to first base, a double gets it to second, a triple gets it to third, a home run gets it a trip all the way around the bases, and it scores a run, and yay, everybody cheers. Remember the base running rules for the speeds of the runners. Score a run for each pawn that makes it home. Place the AI's threatened hits as indicated on their hitbox. Now it's back to you and the whole thing starts over again. Play a card, resolve immediate actions, resolve the AI's threatened hits, place your own threatened hits. Play continues in this way until the 6th AI card is played and you've resolved any of your remaining threatened hits. Place the AI threatened hits as normal. You may now attempt a visitor save with 2 options. You may reveal the card in your on-deck circle, or draw the top card of your deck and play any defensive immediate actions listed. Either way, the card is placed in your dugout, meaning you won't get to use that card in the revenue in the next buy phase. If the score is tied at the end of 6 innings, you go into extra innings. Draw 3 cards. Play one of your cards and play the top card of the AI deck at the same time. The AI resolves its immediate actions first, as they are the home team. Then you resolve your immediate actions. Then resolve both cards' hitboxes in any order. If either team is ahead after all hits have been resolved, that team wins the minigame. If neither team is ahead, continue to play cards from your hand. If you're still tied after 3 extra innings, play 3 more extra innings and continue playing until there is a winner of a minigame. Discard any cards you drew and did not play to the dugout. Move the game's 1 marker of whichever team won the game and reset the runs marker. The cards that the AI played go to its dugout. If you did not use your on-deck card, you may either discard it to the dugout or place it face down on top of your lineup. Count the revenue on the cards you played and perform a buy round. Remember that newly acquired cards go face down on top of your lineup and that you have to send a card that you just played back to the minors for each new card you got. Continue to play mini-games until either you or your opponent win 4 games. If you won, I don't know, go throw yourself a little parade. You earned it, sport. All right, well, that's it. Get out of my dugout. Nope, don't like that one. The Grouchy Nerd. If you lost, remember things could always be worse. You could be the Cubs.